Alright guys, this tutorial video is going to be about the wraparound method. What this method is used for is to find factors of a number or to determine if a number is prime or composite. Okay, so a way that we use that in my class to remember is to find factor pairs, use wraparound. To find factor pairs, use wraparound. So that's kind of the song, the jingle that we use to try to remember that. So before we get started, I just want to hit again. Prime numbers are numbers that only have two factors, one and themselves. A composite number has more than two factors. So we have to find the factors before we can determine if a number is prime or composite. Alright, so let's try wraparound method for number 12. If you look up here, I've listed all of the numbers between 1 and 12. The reason why those are the options for factors of the number 12 is because we have learned that to break down the factors of a number, the numbers get lower. Okay, and we have a little song for that too. Break down the factors, get lower, get lower, get lower. Okay, so these are our options because they are the numbers lower than 12. The first rule is you always start with the factor of 1 times itself. So what we're going to do is just list these across here. So if you look at our list, we have used 1 and 12. Okay? We still have all of these numbers between here that are possible factors. The next number that we're going to try, and I'm sorry it's a little wobbly, is 2. Well, we know that 2 is a factor because 12 is even. And all even numbers are a multiple of 2. But 2 times what? Well, it has to be a number between here because these are the only other options. So 2 times 6. If you are unsure of what the other factor is, this is how you determine it. We're trying to figure out 2 times blank equals 12. We're missing that factor. We have talked about in class, if you're missing a factor, you divide. So in your calculator, you're going to take your product, divide it by the factor that you have, and it will tell you what the other factor is. If you get a decimal, then this is not a factor that you're going to list. Okay? If you get a whole number, that is what we're working in. We're only working with whole numbers in the 4th grade. So if you put that in the calculator, you would get 12 divided by 2, you would get 6. Some of the lower numbers you all will know, but the upper ones not. You might have to use the calculator for that, so just follow this process. Now, if you notice what happened here, we went from 12 down to 6. So that means that none of these numbers are factors of 12. We're closing in the gap. So if you look here, the only number options we have are those numbers between 2 and 6. That's all that's left. 2 to 6. So then we try 3. If you're not sure if 3 is a factor, then you're going to do this same setup where you do 3 times blank equals 12. You're going to take your 12, divide it by the factor that you have, and your calculator will tell you that it is indeed 4. So we put the 4 here. So now I have done 3 times 4, which means that I have bypassed 5 because it does not work. Now, if you notice, there's not any numbers left to try. We have either marked out or circled every factor that is possible, or we've marked out the ones that are not possible for the numbers 1 through 12. And if you look here, if you ask yourself, are there any numbers between 3 and 4? The answer is no. So you're finished. So you wrap around. So our factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. I'm going to label this number composite because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. And a number that is composite has more than 2 factors. That is clear to see. Okay, so let's try 48. I do not expect that everybody's going to want to write a list of 1 through 48. So now we're going to take that list away and see if we can do wraparound without creating that list of possible factors. So the rule is we always start with 1 and 48. The next number to try would be the next number up. So we're going to try 2. If I take and divide 48 by 2 in a calculator, I will get that it's 24. I know that 2 is a factor because 48 is even. So now I'll try 3. You can use your calculator, 48 divided by 3, or we've discussed divisibility rules. So to check to see if 48 is divisible by 3, you do 4 plus 8, you add the digits, is 12. Is 12 divisible by 3? Yes. So therefore, 48 is also. To figure out what the other factor is for 3, you have to do the division in the calculator. 48 divided by 3 would be 16. So 16 is the other factor. We try 4. If you're not sure of what factor goes with that, which you should be because you should know your multiplication tables, it is 12. And as you notice, I'm closing that gap. All the numbers between 48 and 24 are no longer options because I closed the gap. I closed the gap even further when I went down to 16. Now I'm down to 12. Only options I have now are the numbers between 4 and 12. So I try 5. 5's not going to work because we've talked about how the multiples of 5 end in 5 or 0. This does not. So then I try 6. In the calculator, I could do 48 divided by 6, or if I know my multiplication facts, I would know that 6 times 8 is indeed 48. I've closed my gap and I'm now 6 and 8. So therefore, the only number left to try is 7. 48 divided by 7 gives you a decimal. It does not work. Therefore, I'm finished. I can wrap around. These are my factors. 1, 48, 2, 24, 3, 16, 4, 12, 6, 8. This number is composite. Let's look at a prime number. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that it is indeed prime. Let's look at the number 19. Okay, I know obviously 1 times 19, that's what we start with. This number is not divisible by 2, no factor of 2 because it's not even. I could do 3 by doing 19 divided by 3 or use my divisibility rule. 1 plus 9 equals 10. Is 10 divisible by 3? No. So 19 is not. 4. If I do 19 divided by 4, it doesn't work. I keep going with 5, 6, 7, 8. Any number between 1 and 19 is still an option. But as you do those, you will come to see that nothing between 1 and 19 works. So I wrap around. 19 only has 2 factors, 1 and 19, which is itself. So that means that it is a prime number. Wrap around allows you to use your multiplication skills, your divisibility rules, and division to figure out if numbers are factors. You list them, it keeps you organized. And then once you determine how many factors a number has, you can decide if it is prime or composite. Prime has 2 factors, 1 and itself. Composite numbers have more than 2. They can have lots, but they at least have to have 2.